Hey there, welcome to Just Your Path. I am Jessie, and in today's conversation, we're going to talk about spiritual awakening, spiritual journey, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty much your woke. And so with that, we're going to, dive in and, kind of figure out why is it easy for some people and for other people it's kind of difficult. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's jump into that. Okay, so what is a spiritual journey? And a spiritual journey is pretty much you making the decision to understand yourself from a spiritual standpoint. And when I say that, you understand that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and that's what you're here for. And with that, that's one, to discover your true self. That's what happened when you wake up. You understand there's more to you. Two, to understand your past, your present, and your future self. And we're going to dive in deeper with all these, part of the spiritual journey. Third, the people who are in your life and the role that they play. Four, to connect with the world and the people in it. And five, seeing yourself as a person in this world, but not of this world. And that is what a spiritual journey, spiritual awakening is. It's pretty much all of these things that's taking place in your life. Okay, so the first one is your true self. There's a point when you wake up, and waking up can happen on many levels. You can be triggered by a trauma, just waking up, or somewhat, something happens that inspires you to make a change. And once again, seeing yourself from a spiritual standpoint and no longer a product of this world. And so when we say true self, you're here to now discover the person that the universe created, God, whatever you want to call him. The person who controls this universe and this world is God and the universe. And so that's who you realize is in control of your life, and that's the person who created you. And you pretty much want to understand yourself from that level. So backstory of how I started my journey was I pretty much just woke up. I would say there was some trauma, in a sense, mild trauma, you go through some shit in your life and you're like, damn, life is fucked up. But as you hear that voice, this is not your life, this is really not your life, this is really not your life, you don't understand it. And so one day I woke up, part of my routine, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting myself ready, getting my kids ready, and things of that nature. So I woke up and I sat on the edge of the bed and I was like, this is fucking bullshit. Cause I felt like I was just living a lie. I knew this life that I was living was not the life that, God created me to live. Cause I was in that cycle of go to work, come home, take care of kids, cook, go to sleep, take care of kids, go to work, come home. And I was stuck in this cycle. And I was like one day in my car, is this my life forever? God, is this my life forever? And when you're kind of upset and kind of confused, you can't hear no, this is not really your life. But I was asking myself, okay, if God is so great and God is amazing, why am I living like this? And so that's when I knew it was time for me to discover my true self, the person that God created. And deep down, I knew there was just more to my life. And so that's when it hit me, go discover yourself. And go discover yourself. And that's when I went on a pretty much a fuck you tour, fuck everybody. But we'll get into that in a different video, when I actually went on my fuck you tour. But anyway, so I decided my life could not go like this anymore. I couldn't live like this anymore. Living in a state of fear, doubt, anxiety, negative talking, negative thinking, and thinking this was going to be my life forever. Because I was about to settle. I was really about to settle with everything, the way life was, I was like, okay, this is just what it is. And I'm just going to have to just deal with it until it's time for me to like die. And I was like, bitch, do you understand like how old you are? Like, you're not dying anytime soon. If we're going to base life on your age, at that time I was like 35 or so, and I was like, yeah, we're not dying soon. So it's either you're just going to get your life together, or you're really gonna like allow yourself to die slowly. So I was like, okay, let's just go and discover, who I am. And sometimes not knowing who you truly are is a good thing, because then you can just go ahead and not discover, but create the person you want to be. And that was pretty much my balance, like discovering who I was spiritually and creating the person that I wanted to be. Create my mind, my emotion, get rid of things that were no longer working for me and things in that nature, and improving my mindset, improving how I look and things in that nature. So when I say discover your true self, is who God created and also who you want to be. So that is number one, discovering your true self. And number two is to understand your past, your present, and your future self. And when I say past, present, future, I mean the person you were. And one, you don't want to beat up on that person you were. You don't want to blame that person. You don't want to look at that person like, this is why we're in the shit that we're in today, because you made the wrong choices, you were around the wrong people, you had a child with the wrong person, and all this other stuff. You didn't save your money, all this other stuff. Like, don't blame that person. Don't blame your past person, because every stage of yourself is really in the making. You know what I mean? Like, are we going to blame apple pie on the apple? That's part of the process. And look at yourself as apple pie. Like, there's certain parts of the apple pie, like, no, I'm not doing that. Like raw eggs. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to eat raw eggs? No. But you do enjoy apple pie. Who doesn't like apple pie? But when I say your past, present, and future, all of this from a spiritual standpoint is part of your journey, is part of how you grow. So whatever mistakes and things that you've made in the past, or wrong decision and things in that nature, you want to forgive yourself and let go. That's just what it is. And you also have to thank that person, because who you are today, if that person didn't exist, you wouldn't be where you're at today. And if you don't like where you're at, trust me, this is your past person. Next year, you're going to be a new version of yourself. And even in 6 months, even in 2 months, whatever time frame you want to change your life, it's all up to you. So once again, past, present, and future, you're just learning, you just understand as you go on your spiritual journey that all of this of you is who's making up this future person, this future version of you. We needed your past person to play their role, or play the role that they played, in order for you to be where you're at right now and where you're going to be in the future. And so that's really important, understanding that spiritual awakening is allowing you to really understand, like, you don't have to carry this burden of, once again, mistakes that you made in the past, or things in that nature. These are characteristics that either improve or showing you something. And so that's how we want to view these part of us. Is it works hand in hand. Like, my past self, like, if I look at her now and I'm like, girl, you did a good job. Like, you did the best you could. Like, and when I say that, is because the past person that I was working off of beliefs that other people handed to her, like my parents' belief, society's belief, the school system, the school system, the workforce, and, you know, what my environment said I was supposed to be, you know, and things in that nature. So when I look back at that person, the Jessie back when she was like 20, 30, she made a decision based off what she knew at that time. So the Jessie now, if I can go back in that time frame, of course, I'll make a whole bunch of different decisions. But what I know now is not what I knew before. And so, yes, I can't blame Jessie for making those decisions in the past. Like, I just can't do it. Like, she made decisions based off of what she knew. That's just what it is. And so now that what I know, and I always say that once you know what you know, you just can't go back. What I know now, I can't go back to that old Jessie. I just can't. But what I know now is going to create a different future for me. So I'm not going to be living in a reacting mode. I'm going to be I live in more of a dictating mode, like how I want my life to be. And to do that, I'm very mindful and very conscious of what I do, where I put my energy and time into, because I understand and see clearly the life that I want. And so when you go on a spiritual journey, it's really asking you to go deeper. And going deeper, because when you understand like the life that you want on the outside, it can only complement what's going on the inside. So if you're fucked up on the inside, fucked up mentality, fucked up mindset, you got toxic emotions, you know, just running through your veins, yes, you're going to have a fucked up life. That's just what it is. Sorry to tell you, but I'm here to tell you. That's just what it is. So I knew for myself, like, in order for me to change how I react, I really had to change my mindset. Like, I knew there was like a really big part of how my life was going is because of the mindset and the belief that I was holding on to. And as a female, like, you don't understand how much shit you pick up from your mom. And shout out to my mom. She's like amazing. She's fucking amazing. And she, you know, I look at her and I understood this at a young part of my age. I'm 41 right now. And I realized like she was only giving me what her mom gave her, and so on, what her mama gave her and all this other stuff. So I realized that what my mom gave me was what she knew. But then I looked at her, whatever she gave me, as like a toolbox. And I realized there was certain things that I could use, and certain things that beliefs and understanding was just outdated. And I was like, no, I don't need this no more. Because it wasn't really, I was just using it to use it, but I didn't really know how to use it. And what I was using wasn't working for me. So I was like, okay, yeah, we're not going to use this because this is not bringing me forward. This is just keeping me stuck. And so, but that's the part about future self. Your future, your present, and your past self. All of it plays together. And yes, you can't change the past where you're at, but you can use your past to change your present and your future. Key point. And the third part is to the people that are in your life. And I always use myself, you know, can always give you stories and examples of that when I say the people in your life. Like, everybody in your life from a spiritual standpoint, everyone in your life, one, you selected them before you came into this world, and two, they're here to teach you a lesson. And you're also here to teach them a lesson, but they will only understand their lesson that you're trying to teach on their journey. Like, you can't say what you're trying to teach another person on their journey. You can only learn from the person that's in your life. And I mean everybody that you come across, like your partner, your kids, your parent, your boss, your friends, your colleagues. That I bet you can't stand. We're not gonna say nothing. But all of these people are here to teach you something. So instead of looking at them like, this is what you did, and why you here, and all this other stuff. They're here because one, you selected them, great job, and two, they're here to teach you something. And you won't appreciate the role that they play in your life if you continue to look at them as the person that's here to fuck up your life. Like, you have to look at them like, how are you here trying to help me improve? What spiritual assignment that I have? What spiritual assignment do I need to learn? And when I say spiritual assignment, that could be with anger, that could be with self-love, that can be with resentment, that could a person, whoever, how to teach you how to deal with patience, or how to be patient, and how to overcome, how to be courageous, and all this other stuff. Like, so you're gonna find people to teach you how to work in these areas. And if you don't know what area you're at, subject, like, pay attention to the constant feedback that you get. For example, me, I was controlling, and the reason why I was controlling, because my mom was controlling. My mom is controlling. She's kind of loosened up, but for me, like, I felt like in order for my life to go perfectly, I had to control everyone and everything in it and everyone in it. And the feedback that I was getting back was like, you're just too controlling. You're like, you come off cold, like you just don't care about other people's feeling and stuff like that. And when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that fucking makes sense. Like, because I'm like, it's either you could get it or you don't get it. What point don't you understand? And it's like, I had to change that. I really had to change that. And understanding that, everyone, like, you can't control everyone. You can't control anybody, not everyone. You can't control anybody. You can only control yourself. And if you're in a position of constantly if you're a controlling person, you're going to find yourself controlling other people. And controlling other people is going to be stressful for you, because you're going to look at it like, why can't you just get it together? Like, why can't you get it straight? Why can't you just listen? Why can't you be this, and why can't you be that? They're not here to make your life easy. That's just what it is. And so that was one thing that I had to realize, like, that's something that I need to work on. Like, I really need to let go of the control. And you'll find yourself in positions where it's testing you. Like, I was an office manager for a dermatology office, and I was an office manager. And that experience really taught me how to trust other people and just let go. And that is something, when I look back at, like, yeah, that really taught me how to release. And it went from releasing control of every aspect at my job, in my relationship, in my household, and other people. Because what I really understood was that, it's not up to me to control people. It's not. And so when you find, like, not when you find people in your life, but everyone in your life is here to help you grow. And not just grow physically, but also grow spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. They're here to help you. So instead of looking at those people as like, why are you in my fucking life? Pay attention to the lesson that they're trying to teach you. Because everybody you come in contact with, from your kids to the cashier at the grocery store, they're here to teach you a lesson. And when I say grocery store, if you're a person that goes to the grocery store and the cashier is always mean to you and nasty and condescending, that's you. That's you. So pay attention, because everyone that comes on your path is here to teach you something. So understand that. And number 5 is finally seeing yourself in this world, but not of this world. And what I mean by that is, like, you understand that you live in this world, but you're no longer under the control of this world. So, like, life happens and, certain situations, but you can overcome whatever. Why? Because you understand who's in control. You understand, one, you're a spiritual person having a human experience, and all of this is going to pass. All of this you're going to overcome these things. So there's really no need to live in fear, because that's what the world gives you, is fear. And it's not a bad thing. It's just what being a human is. You're going to go through these experiences. So it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to them. That's very, very important. And so I've gotten into the habit of being mindful of how I react. And yes, sometimes I will have like that slick moment, like, what she said, but I know how to like bring it back together. Like, Jessie, it's really not that serious. Like, let it go. And I'm like, all right, just let it go. But if you're finding it difficult to be on your spiritual journey, it's because you're looking at everything happening to you versus for you. And everything that happens in your life, both good and bad, is for your growth. So you can have a good experience if you just understand that going on your spiritual journey and whatever takes place in it is part of the process. For example, this is a good analogy. So my sister and I, we both have tattoos, and I love having tattoos or getting tattoos done. When she goes in for her tattoo, she's like, the outlining hurts. And I'm like, man, like, I found the outlining to be just like smooth breeze. Like, there was nothing. It's the shading part for me that kind of gets me like that. And she was like, oh no, I love the shading part. And I'm like, girl, you do? And she's like, yeah. See, same experience, but different outcome. Not same experience, same, we're doing the same thing, but we're getting a different outcome. We're experiencing two different things with the same thing. So we both like tattoos, we get tattoos. She has her experience and I have my experience. So there's nothing wrong with spiritual awakening and, it being good or being bad. It's pretty much how you want it to be. And if you want it to be good, then understand everything that comes with it is part of the process. Now, the another reason why it goes bad is because, like, you reject the changes that are taking place. And the things that are taking place, when you don't like what's taking place, then you kind of like resist it, and then it becomes painful. And that could be in any situation. Like, if you're in a toxic relationship and this relationship is no longer your thing, instead of letting it go, you want to stay in it. And so when the universe, God, is giving you a sign like, okay, it's time to leave, you're like, no, I don't, I know it's not good, but I just want to be here. And that's when it becomes like a bad breakup, because you just don't want to let it go. And so, I hear a lot about, spiritual awakening. People talk about only good about the spiritual journey, and people don't talk, the negative side of spiritual journey. There's really no positive or negative side. It's just how you want it to be, point blank. Because like I said, with the tattoo analogy, I know, like, when somebody said, like I got a tattoo on my ear right here, right? I got 2 tattoos on my ear. And so when I got the tattoo, they're like, did it hurt? Yeah, it hurt, but I didn't process it in that way because I knew tattoos hurt. So I wasn't shocked by the pain that I was receiving, because this is what comes with getting a tattoo. So if you just understand that spiritual journey, both good and bad, if you just act like, okay, this is part of what is supposed to take place, this is part of it, it won't be so painful, it won't be bad. You'll just be like, yeah, I had a spiritual awakening, and this is what happened, and it's part of it. And yes, don't get me wrong, there's like some things that life serves you that's really like, wow, I couldn't believe, like, I can't believe I survived that. Yeah, I get it. But when you are going on your spiritual journey, you understand that everything that takes place in your life, both good and bad, is for your growth. It's just what it is. But, you know, like I said, change your filter and you're going to have a different outcome. If it's positive, you're going to have a positive experience. If it's negative, you're going to have a negative experience. And so what does that say? Your experience is based on how you want it to be. So if you're struggling on your spiritual journey, your spiritual awakening, understand that you have full control over this. Full control. Do you have control of what's taking place on the outside? No, because they're also on their journey. They're also on their path. So everyone is intertwined with everyone's story, one way or the other. I mean, in your life. So if it's time to leave that relationship that's no longer serving you, take your lesson and go. If you're at a job that you don't like, this is the time to really do some self-reflection and pretty much figure out, okay, why am I here? You know, if you're around people that are no longer serving you and you want that peaceful life, then you can't get on the phone with your girlfriend and be like, girl, you seen what happened? You looking for drama. So you can't ask for change and then resist change. If you're looking to change your life, and when I say change your life from a spiritual standpoint, spiritual journey and spiritual awakening, for me, this is how I view it, is pretty much a tool and resources that you use to understand your life. Same way a person will use a therapist. A therapist is used to organize your feelings and emotion and your thought process and kind of help you categorize like what's working, what's no longer working, and how to improve what's working and how to let go of what's no longer working. And spiritual awakening is, once again, choosing to understand yourself from a spiritual standpoint. And sometimes you're going to be into things that are spiritual. Sage, Palo Santo, tarot cards, crystals, and all this other good stuff. So spiritual awakening, spiritual journey is pretty much a spiritual tool. It's a resource that you're choosing to use to understand your life. And that's what it is. So don't blame the journey. Don't blame the tools and the resources that come with it. Understand that, you know, you do have the ability to use them to your advantage and not your disadvantage. So listen, I'm going to end it here because I have kids and I have to go attend to them. Like, I locked them in a room because I'm like, I gotta get this video out. So I'll see you guys again. Be well and understand it's just your path. So I am here once again to provide you with clarity, inspiration, and the confidence to listen, finally build that life that you know you deserve. Because if you didn't deserve it, you wouldn't be here.